John, why are you working with Russian state media?
Oh, because I've got 5 kids and nobody's beaten a path to my door to give me work. You know, this is all part of the overall plan. It's, again, my lawyer said, this isn't about John Kiriakou. This is bigger.
So for people who don't understand Andy's question, John has been hosting a radio show for a number of years for RT.
7 years now.
7 years.
Sputnik Radio.
Sputnik Radio.
Yeah, Sputnik Radio. The government, I think, or the agency maybe, would have been perfectly happy if I starved to death from lack of work or ended up at McDonald's. And I worked hard to rebuild my life. The only people who offered me a job were the Russians. And when they first offered me this job, I turned it down. And then 6 months later, they came back and said, we'd really like to offer you this radio show. And I said, you know, the only way that I would do this is if I were free to say anything I wanted and to talk about any issue I wanted. And they said, done. And I said, yeah, but I would want to be able to criticize even Vladimir Putin. Done. And I said, would you put that in writing in the contract? And they said, yes. And they did. And I'll give you an example. On the day of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, I opened the show by saying that I unequivocally condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and I call for Russian forces to depart Ukraine immediately. I criticize. I'll give you another example. Do you remember in York, England, I'm going to say 5 years ago, a Russian dissident and his daughter were poisoned with Novichok? We were doing a story on it, and my co-host said, well, you know, it could have been the Ukrainians in a false flag operation. It could have been the Russian mafia. I said it was a KGB or whatever they're calling themselves. Now, they've been poisoning people since the 50s. This is what the Russians do. They poison people. Of course, it was the Russian government. So they let me say anything I want. I've never, ever received any pushback, and I make a handsome living. Like I've always said, if CNN's got an offer, or MSNBC, or even Fox, I'm on Fox at least every other week. I'm all ears. But, 5 kids, 3 of whom still need to get through college, I make no apologies.
So then when you became a sworn officer of the United States, what was your intention? Was your intention to make the United States, to like protect and expand the superiority of the United States, or was it something else? Did you think you were making a better planet? Because you have to know that by affiliating your name with Russian state media, you might get to say anything you want, but that doesn't mean that's what goes to air. When it gets translated into Russian, it can be whatever they want it to be.
It's a live show.
Like
it's in English.
It's an internet show.
Like he wouldn't see that the next day. Like wake up, hey, that you took part of my show out. Like he would know, I think.
All right.
It's terrestrial.
Also broadcast.
But they're going to have the rights to make out of it whatever they want to make out of it. And your name and your affiliation that is exactly the foundation for how Russian covert influence operations happen.
Aw, poor CIA. There's a former CIA guy working for the Russians. He may do some damage to the American government. Fuck the American government. What have they done for me? What have they done for my children?
Do you really
violate my rights?
Do you really not know the answer to that?
Come on, man. It was the CIA that put me in prison. What in the world do I owe the CIA?
It was your decisions that put you in prison.
It was the CIA's law-breaking that put me in prison.
It was your choice to highlight the CIA's law-breaking to media that put you.
So wouldn't that make him a whistleblower? Like, why do you go to jail for telling about your bosses committing crimes? That's not what the CIA is there for. They're not there just to be able to break the laws. This guy wants deep state so fucking bad that he's willing to say it's your fault for reporting the people breaking the law. Why do you think he got in law enforcement? So he could like just break laws anytime he wants? No, you're supposed to stop people from breaking the laws, idiot.
You in prison.
There we go. So we're in agreement then.
Your children's your they live every day under the protection of the United States. They have all the benefits
Oh my
of
God.
American citizens. You get to enjoy. You're here on an American podcast. You flew on an American airline.
what
You're
do you
staying in
think-
an American protected
what do
hotel.
you think my children's memories
the
are?
police officers driving around the streets right now. All of these people are contributing to the freedoms that you have.
And if you get a paycheck from Russia, that means you can't enjoy any of that, I guess. Is that the argument here? This frizzy-haired guy makes no sense.
Oh, wow.
All of them.
Wow.
And you're sitting here saying
you're a true believer.
I'm a true believer in the fact that we have to serve the American dream. We have to serve the American purpose. That's
Right. When you're getting a paycheck, that's what you're supposed to do. But whenever they stop giving you a paycheck and then throw you in jail for 8 years, I think you can kind of just make your own rules at that point.
what we're here
And
to
that's
do.
exactly what I'm doing by opposing the American government.
You don't oppose the American government by making yourself a voice for Russian state media.
Why not?
Because you're not talking out about the American government, first of all. What you're talking out about is Putin's invasion of Ukraine.
No, I
and-
talk about
and
the American government every single day.
So whoever you're speaking to,
Yeah.
you are giving credibility and authority and you're loaning all of your hard work to Russian media for a paycheck.
Yeah, it's called work. Yeah.
I don't see how that's a problem.
Is it
Because
question-
if you didn't come from CIA, they wouldn't care about you.
So
He doesn't know that.
So you're borrowing the authority of CIA. That's what makes you valuable to Russian media.
no, I'm able to expose crimes that I witnessed in the CIA. Sure, and maybe that gives me a little bit more
John
cachet.
Kiriakou, separate of CIA, would not be of interest to Russian media. So what makes John Kiriakou?
That's not true. That's not true. I have a dozen colleagues who have been sort of leaders in their field, have nothing to do with the CIA, that also host shows because they bring something to the table.
They're leaders in their field.
Yeah. Okay. So I was one of the government's leading experts on the Middle East.
Without the government, you wouldn't be.
If I
of
had been at
interest.
the State Department or if I had been in academia, I'd still be an expert on the Middle East.
You're pulling everything from government, man.
So what?
Andy, is
I
it,
don't see how you think I owe the government
I'm not
something
saying you
here.
owe the government anything. I'm just saying that the
Yeah, you owe the people who put you in jail. Right. Okay.
ideals that you had,
They
you
don't want
must
what
have
I
had
give
in 1984,
Yeah.
1889.
89. Yeah.
You must have compromised on those ideals. You must have at some point.
I'm a patriot.
isn't questioning the government and holding the government accountable something that the United States was founded on?
I don't know the answer to that.
Of course it is.
How
Isn't that in the Constitution?
I don't know the answer to that either. Can somebody flag where there's any mention of individual accountability to the government? Because I'm pretty sure that's why we are a representative democracy.
Yeah, we'll just look in the cliff notes to the Constitution. I'm sure it's there.
It is our representatives who are supposed to do that, not us. What we're supposed to do is be really fucking good at what we do and vote in meaningful representatives to represent the constituents in all forms of government. It is not our job to meddle in government. It is also not the government's job to meddle in our.
Right. So act like you don't see the crimes they're committing. Just close your eyes and pretend like that's not your job to report that. This guy had more principles, not this idiot, but Kiriakou had more principle than this guy can even recognize. He doesn't understand. That dude took a big gamble on it, and he did get fucked for a little bit, but he's getting his payback now. Like that was unthinkable what they did to him for reporting about prisoners being tortured.
Economic contributions to the government, unless we violate a crime or violate a law and somehow otherwise ostracize us. But we're not supposed to. That's why we have representation in the Senate and in.
You see these mental lapses? That's how the CIA can get people to do this. They have to put them, they get the brain working in this crazy way where it's like, it's not illegal if I do it. They just can't fucking understand. You still have laws you're supposed to follow too. And that's why the deep state is such a problem right now, because of morons like this buffoon who did the bidding of the CIA for years and didn't even understand, hey, you're not supposed to be breaking laws just because you're the CIA. That's what laws are for. They mean for everybody.
In the House.
Okay.
So yeah, my point with all of this is just there's a very real responsibility, in my opinion. There's a very real responsibility that if you are going to become a representative of the federal government, if you're going to become a sworn officer of the federal government, whether you're in military uniform, whether you're plainclothes FBI, whether you're Secret Service, whatever else, we have an obligation forevermore. We will never be normal citizens.
I think
And where's that written down at? Where this information you just provided, that's the way it is. How do you know that? Where can we go read that? Where does it say that? No, it's in your head. It's in your head.
that's nonsense.
You can think whatever
I
you
really
want to think.
do. I really do. If you are a private citizen, your loyalty is to yourself. Within the confines of the law, of course, and the Constitution. But I don't owe the government anything.
I'm not saying you owe
You
the
are.
government anything. I'm saying that we have a responsibility, we have an obligation to recognize that we can become tools for our adversaries against the very things that we believe in, specifically because of our affiliation with government organizations.
So
That's just the fact of it.
I
That's
have-
what makes us interesting to them.
I have
this guy also acts like we don't have deep fakes now. Like there's not AI where they could just use his content for anything they want anyway. If they're going to be like devious about it and break contracts, why wouldn't they just use deep fakes and do it like, all the Joe Rogan commercials you see where he's talking about the products? Like those are all AI. That's not real.
no.
They could do that just as easily.
But well, how is it different then for the myriad of intelligence officers who sell themselves out to corporate media?
There's at
What's
least
the difference?
the primary difference is that they're not giving our adversaries an advantage by the connection to their affiliation with a government agency.
What advantage, though, am I giving?
You don't even know how they choose to use your
Of course
information.
I do. I
No.
see it every single day.
If you really think you know what they're doing with your information, you are either
Well,
willfully ignorant
enlighten me.
or overly confident.
Enlighten me.
They can do anything they want to. They don't even have to be using
What
it right
are you
now.
saying
And they couldn't just use AI, I guess. Huh.
that they're doing, though?
They could be doing so.
They could be, and
let's-
they're not.
Okay, let's just take best practices for covert influence. Best practices alone, right? Best practices are you take somebody's statement and you put it out of context, and then you translate it into a different language.
Sure.
And you use it to promote something in some third
Sure.
world, in some third
Absolutely.
some third country
And
setting.
if you have evidence, man, I would love to see it, and I'll put an end to it. Sure, they could do anything they want, just like the U.S. can do anything that it wants, but they don't. They haven't.
You don't know. You
I do
don't
know.
know just as well as I don't know.
Of course I know. Of course I know.
Of course you know what Russia is doing with all of your data. The data that you were so passionately against the FBI collecting.
What
your
data?
metadata. You were so concerned against
I
the
sit in
metadata
front of a
collection.
microphone every day, and I talk about what's in the papers. That's my job. It's a 2-hour news show. That's it. And then I get up and I go home.
You talk about your opinions also.
Yeah, my opinions aren't a secret. I give the same opinions on Fox and on MSNBC that I give on my own radio show.
It's
What's
just
the difference?
It's shocking to me how legalistic your point of view is, considering that it was the law that put you in prison. It's just shocking to me.
Yeah.
That you are so legalistic and you're making ideological arguments, but selectively choosing when to follow ideology and when to defend yourself using legalisms.
Well,
What?
that's sort of
Horseshit.
that's a personal ideology, right? We all have these personal ideologies.
I guess I'm sad. I'm sad for
Sad and brainwashed.
Well, then where do you draw the line? Do you not give an interview to a Turkish outlet or a Cuban outlet or an Argentine outlet? I mean, pretty much anybody with the Five Eyes can be an opponent of the U.S. government on any given issue.
This guy would have no issues if Kiriakou had a contract with, the people in the Middle East. I'm not going to say it because they block my channel when I do, but you know who, the tiny hat people. He would have no problem if that country over there, that was who his contract was with. It's just because it's Russia. Just because it's Russia.
What do you do?
So from my point of view, there's adversaries, current, clear and present adversaries, and then there are unknowns, and then there are clear and present allies. If you're going to support an adversary, you can justify.
Who decided they're the adversary? Who decided all this? Like what? It's just another country. We're not at war with them. We're not anything like that. Trump goes over there and has conversations with their leader. What is the issue here? It's because they've been brainwashed that, Muslim people and people from Russia, they're the bad guys. And the people over, the little tiny country, they're good guys. They're good guys. They are clear and present allies, like clear, whatever phrase you use, but they're just automatically considered allies because they've been brainwashed. They can't tell us what we get from it, but they can tell you they're our greatest ally. It's like they've all been like programmed. That's the best way to put it. Programmed.
However you choose.
I don't support the adversary. The adversary offered me an outlet that I gladly accepted.
At a bare minimum, your outlet generates revenue for an adversary. Barest minimum. So how can you say that you don't benefit the adversary?
Well, it's revenue. It's a government-sponsored radio. I mean, there's no advertising. There's no revenue stream. It's like Voice of America.
If there is no actual money changing hands, I would be surprised because there's always got to be money that changes hands somewhere. And you're also talking about.
I'm not sure what that means.
There's always money. There's always a funding source. There's always a donor base. There's always an exchange of value. Nothing is free.
It's a government-funded radio network.
Funded by which government?
The Russian government.
The Russian government funds a radio channel.
Yeah.
For which audience?
For the American audience.
For the American people.
Yeah.
Using the voice of a CIA officer.
Yes.
And you don't see a problem with that?
Absolutely none.
And you're not able to voice any kind of an objection to it because you're not making any sense. It's all just things I think. Like your assertions are not facts, doofus.
Do we do that in other countries?
Of course we do. It's
and
called the Voice of America.
Campaigns.
It's called the Voice of America.
Right, but it's okay when we do it, just like terrorism. It's okay if we do it. It's not terrorism, then it's patriotism.
They're for influence. They are soft power. Mm-hmm. They're to win. It's the same fucking thing that Tucker Carlson did with Vladimir Putin.
So you think it's so? How do you? So
what?
I think